Invitation Homes, the largest single-family rental landlord in America, just turned net seller across most of the Sun Belt. So did American Homes for Rent. 6 of the 8 biggest publicly traded house landlords in the country sold more homes than they bought in the same quarter. And Redfin says investor purchases in Orlando just dropped 18% year over year. Miami fell 14%. So did Fort Lauderdale. Wall Street is leaving Florida. And yet, in 10 specific Florida towns, most American home buyers couldn't find on a map, cash buyers are still moving in. Builders are still breaking ground, and median home prices are still sitting under $275,000, while the rest of Florida cools off. So when you scroll Zillow and see a 3-bedroom house in 2026 Florida listed for $159,000, $210,000, $245,000, and your gut tells you it has to be a scam, today, we're ranking 10 Florida towns where home prices look like a scam until you see what's actually happening. Because the smart money in Florida real estate isn't on CNBC anymore. The smart money is the retiree from Boca who just sold a $900,000 condo, kept up to $500,000 of homestead tax protection, and paid cash for a house in a town you've never heard of. The smart money is the small portfolio investor, fewer than 10 properties. The kind Parcel Labs says makes up the actual majority of investor buyers, scooping up distressed inventory in Big Bend counties where Citizens Property Insurance just walked away. The smart money is the home builder reallocating land budget from Cape Coral to the I-4 corridor. By the end of this video, you'll know which 10 Florida towns this quiet money is buying, which one we'd never personally touch even at 4-figure per month mortgage, and the specific Florida tax provision driving more inland migration right now than any headline in this country is reporting. Here's the Florida the headlines describe. Florida Realtors says the statewide median single-family home ended 2025 at $413,990. Cotality, formerly CoreLogic, ranks Florida the worst-performing state in the country for home prices in 2025. Insurify clocked the average Florida homeowner paying $8,292 a year just to insure their house, the highest in America, up 18% in a single year. The 4 worst performing house markets in the entire United States is the most recent FHFA house pricing index, Punta Gorda, Cape Coral, Fort Myer, North Port, Sarasota, and Naples. Every single one is on the Florida coast. If that's all you read, you'd think Florida is over. You'd think the whole state is collapsing under hurricanes, insurance bills, and stale inventory. And on the coast, parts of that picture are real. But here's what the headlines miss. Florida isn't one market. Florida is 2 markets that got glued together a long time ago and are now coming apart in slow motion. The coastal Florida market, Cape Coral, Punta Gorda, Northport, Lee County, Sarasota, the Big Bend, is in real trouble. Wolf Street tracked active listings in the biggest Florida metros, hitting roughly 182,000 in May 2025, the highest number Realtor.com has on record going back a decade. Days on market in Florida averaged 79 days in August 2025, compared to 49 nationally. That's coastal Florida pricing reality. The other Florida, inland Florida, the Heartland, the Panhandle Interior, the I-4 corridor, and the places that aren't Orlando, is a totally different market with totally different math. And that's the Florida these 10 towns live in. Number 10 on this list is Inverness in Citrus County, about 75 miles north of Tampa. Median sale price around $250,000 according to local MLS data, with Citrus County overall at $280,000 according to Redfin's most recent county data. The Withlacoochee State Trail runs through it, Florida's longest paved rail trail at 46 miles. The 1912 courthouse downtown was the filming location for Elvis Presley's Follow That Dream in 1961. None of that matters to the buyer profile we're tracking. What matters is that Citrus County sits inland. Its Sella-Opopka chain of lakes carries low flood zone exposure, and First Street rates only about 31% properties at severe flood risk over 30 years. Moderate by Florida standards. Insurance here runs a fraction of what coastal Citrus or Hernando County waterfront pays. Number 9 is Defuniak Springs in Walton County in the Florida Panhandle. Median sale price around $220,000 according to Redfin, with the trailing 12-month median closer to $260,000. Walton County is famous because of 30A, the stretch of coastline between Destin and Panama City Beach, where median list prices run over $1 million. Defuniak Springs sits 25 miles inland from those beaches, just off Interstate 10. Same county, same school district, roughly a quarter of the coastal price tag. The town is built around Lake Defuniak, one of only 2 perfectly round, spring-fed lakes in the world. Number 8 is Dunalin in Marion County, about 25 miles southwest of Ocala. Recent Redfin and Rocket Homes data put the median sale price around $275,000, with the broader Marion County median tracking the same. Dunalin sits at the confluence of the Rainbow and Withlacoochee rivers, with Rainbow Springs pumping roughly 600 million gallons of 72-degree water a day year-round. Here's what makes Dunalin matter for the data we're tracking. Parcel Labs research has flagged the broader Ocala-Marion County market as a top-tier metro for new construction share, meaning a meaningful chunk of new listings here are coming straight from homebuilders, not from existing owners. If you've been with us this far, you're already ahead of about 90% of homebuyers staring at Zillow tonight. Hit subscribe and turn on the bell. The next video in this series goes deeper into Florida county-by-county data, and you don't want the algorithm to bury them. Number 7 is Avon Park in Highlands County, deep in the Florida heartland on the Lake Wales Ridge. Recent Redfin city-level data shows a median around $210,000, with Homes.com trailing 12-month figures closer to $259,000. Highlands County is one of the lowest elevation risk markets in peninsular Florida. First Street rates only about 6% of properties at severe flood risk. Avon Park itself sits next to Avon Park Air Force Range, the largest bombing and gunnery range east of the Mississippi at 106,000 acres, dating back to World War II training operations. Number 6 is Lake Placid, also in Highlands County, about 20 miles south of Avon Park. The county-level Redfin median is closer to $279,900, with Lake Placid running slightly above that based on recent listings. Lake Placid is the caladium capital of the world, produces 95+% of all caladium bulbs grown in the United States, and the town has 47 outdoor murals painted across its downtown buildings. It's surrounded by 27 named lakes. Number 5 is Arcadia in DeSoto County, about 50 miles east of Sarasota and 50 miles north of Fort Myers. Recent Redfin city-level data shows a median around $243,000 with very thin volume. The more reliable DeSoto County median is around $272,500. Arcadia is Florida's rodeo capital. The Arcadia All-Florida Championship Rodeo dates back to 1928, the oldest in Florida. The town is also Florida's largest antiques district, with more than 20 shops anchoring its historic downtown. Now, here's the question we get every time we cover towns like these. Why is the smart money showing up here, in towns most home buyers can't pronounce, when 30A and Naples and Cape Coral are sitting on bigger discounts than they've offered in 5 years? The answer is the specific Florida tax provision I promised you in the opening of this video. It's called Save Our Homes Portability, and it's written into the Florida Constitution. Florida's homestead exemption caps the annual increase in your home's assessed value at 3%, much less than the actual rise in market value most years. Over 10, 15, 20 years of home ownership, that gap between assessed value and market value can grow into hundreds of thousands of dollars in protected tax basis. It's called the Save Our Homes Differential. And here's the part most homeowners outside Florida have never heard. Since 2008, you can take the differential with you. Up to $500,000 of accumulated Save Our Homes protection can be transferred to a new homestead, anywhere in Florida, within 3 tax years of leaving your old home. The portability rule is why a Boca Raton retiree who's been in the same condo since 1998 can sell, walk away with a tax basis advantage worth 6 figures, and buy a $245,000 house in Quincy or a $275,000 house in Dunalin without their property tax bill ever resetting to current market rates. That's the structural reason the inland migration in this state is not slowing down. It's not a sentiment story. It's a constitutional tax provision the rest of America doesn't have an equivalent of. Number 4 is Brooksville in Hernando County, about 50 miles north of Tampa. The Hernando County overall median is about $330,000 according to recent Redfin data, with Fred tracking Hernando County's median listing price at roughly $351,000 in late 2025. Brooksville sits on rolling 100 to 180 foot elevation, unusually high for Florida, at the end of the 157,000-acre Withlacoochee State Forest. RealtyTrack shows Hernando County carrying more than 800 active foreclosures, which tells you exactly why small portfolio investors are paying attention to this market. Now, here's where the data gets uncomfortable. Number 3 is Perry in Taylor County on the Florida Big Bend. And Perry is the town we wouldn't personally buy in, even at the price point we're about to give you. The most recent Redfin city-level median for Perry is around $149,000. Taylor County overall sits around $166,000. Wait, it gets worse. Perry took a direct landfall hit from Hurricane Idalia as a Category 4 storm in August 2023. Then it took a direct landfall hit from Hurricane Helene as a Category 4 storm in September 2024. Then Hurricane Milton sideswiped the region in October 2024. 3 major hurricanes in 13 months. First Street rates 49% of properties in Taylor County at severe flood risk over the next 30 years, the highest of any town on this list. This is the part of the video where we need to be honest with you. Some Florida YouTube channels have quoted a $14,000 median home price in Perry. That number is wrong. It doesn't appear in any primary source we can verify, and we went through Redfin, Zillow, Rocket Homes, and county-level data on Taylor County to confirm it. The actual median is closer to $149,000. Still cheap by Florida standards, but not the fantasy figure that's been floating around. We'd rather give you the real number and tell you the structural risk attached to it than chase a viral statistic that falls apart under 30 seconds of fact-checking. Here's our controversial take. We think Perry, Steinhatchee, and the rest of the Big Bend coast are uninvestable for the typical retail buyer right now. Not because the price is wrong, but because Citizens Property Insurance has been dropping policies in counties like Taylor faster than the private insurance market can replace them. And the next direct strike hurricane is a question of when, not if. If you live somewhere else in the country and you're picturing yourself owning a $149,000 house in Perry as a vacation property, the insurance reality is going to surprise you in a way that listing price doesn't telegraph. Drop a comment and tell us whether you think we're wrong about that, because the cheap Big Bend properties are the single most debated category we cover, and we want to hear your case if you see it differently. If you want more videos that take honest swings at viral Florida real estate claims and tell you the math the listing pages don't, subscribe to this channel. The next one in this series is going to surprise you. Number 2 is Palatka in Putnam County, about 60 miles southwest of Jacksonville on the St. Johns River. Recent Redfin city-level data shows a median around $153,000, though that's a very thin sample with only 8 closings in the most recent month. The more durable Putnam County median is around $234,000. Adam Data Solutions shows roughly 30% of Palatka homes are equity-rich, and Bankrate puts months of supply at over 11, which is exactly the buyer-leaning condition that pulls in cash investors. Redfin's migration tracker shows Miami, New York, and Washington as the top inbound search metros for Palatka, the classic out-of-state cash buyer pattern. Importantly, Palatka's flood risk profile is far better than its waterfront listings suggest. First Street rates only 8% of Palatka properties at severe flood risk. And now, number 1. Quincy in Gadsden County, about 25 miles northwest of Tallahassee, right off Interstate 10. The Gadsden County median sits around $260,000 according to recent Redfin data. Rocket Homes puts the Quincy city-level median around $245,000. Effective property tax rates in Quincy run under 1%, below the Florida median. Quincy is famous in financial history circles for what locals call the Coca-Cola millionaires story. In the 1920s, a local banker, Pat Monroe, encouraged the town's farmers and merchants to buy Coca-Cola stock when it was unfashionable. By the 1990s, the town was widely reported to have one of the highest concentrations of millionaires per capita in the country. And here's why builders matter for towns like Palatka and Quincy. D.R. Horton, the largest home builder in America, disclosed in their fourth quarter fiscal 2025 earnings call that their southeast region accounted for 21% of net new orders. Horton closed 84,863 homes in fiscal 2025, plus 3,460 single-family rental homes and 2,947 multifamily rental units. Their build-to-rent program is growing while their resale exposure cools. TriPoint Homes entered Central Florida in April 2024 and has called the I-4 corridor stronger than other parts of the state. Parcel Labs research has flagged Ocala, Crestview, and Pensacola as leaders in new construction share of new listings nationwide. That's the third smart money category in the reveal. Wall Street is leaving the resale market in Florida, but the home builders are voting with their land budgets, and they're voting inland. So here's what's actually happening in these 10 towns. Three forces stacking on top of each other in markets the headlines don't cover. First, the insurance differential. Inland Florida pays a fraction of what coastal Florida pays, sometimes one-third the annual premium for the same priced home. Citizens Property Insurance lost 73% of its policy count between October 2023 and the start of 2026. Dropping from 1.42 million policies to 395,144. That's the lowest count since 2012. Those policyholders aren't gone, they're inland. Second, Save Our Homes portability. The constitutional tax provision that lets Florida homeowners carry up to $500,000 of accumulated tax basis protection across the state line of their old county. That single provision is the structural reason long-tenured coastal Florida homeowners are not leaving the state. They're moving 60 miles inland and protecting their tax bill in the process. Third, the home builder pivot. The largest builders in America are reallocating land budgets out of coastal Southwest Florida and into the I-4 corridor and inland tertiary markets. They're not buying resale, they're building inventory, and the small portfolio investors and out-of-state cash buyers are absorbing it. So when you look at these 10 towns and your gut says, this looks like a scam, the math behind these prices isn't a mistake. It's a structural shift in what Florida real estate is and who's actually buying it. The headlines are still describing the Florida from 2021. The data is describing a Florida where the smart money walked away from CNBC 2 years ago and started buying in towns most home buyers couldn't pronounce. Subscribe and hit the bell. Next week, we're breaking down the 5 Florida counties where Save Our Homes portability is creating the biggest concentration of cash buyers right now. And one of them sits next to a metro area you wouldn't expect. The geographic arbitrage in Florida is the slowest moving wealth transfer in modern American real estate, and we're tracking it county by county. We'll see you in the next one.